Well, welcome to Sullivan's Projects. This is episode number 4 in an ongoing series called Dizzy Dim. And just happens to be, this is just the sunset, thank God, of the Democratic National Convention for this year. Thank God. Anyways, we heard a number of guests today, and we're going to ask Dizzy Dan about some of those guests right now. And I wish I knew the name of the preacher. He really probably doesn't deserve the press, but he was interesting. Someone asked Dizzy Dim here about the preacher man, and we're also going to ask about General George Allen, who was the 4-star leader of the what was really the United States-led force against Islam. He would like to call it the global coalition against the war on ISIS or Taliban or Al Qaeda, whatever it was. It's just you know, Washington speak. Personally, I was out of the Navy in 2003, so I missed all the fun things that happened to our military, but I've heard all about them. The decommissioning of some of our fighter vessels, the fact that the military has been paid under inflation under the last 8 years, active duty. Just that way is Fort Huachuca, Arizona. That's Sierra Vista all around me, and that would be the northern end of Fort Huachuca in the background there. It's pathetic what's happened to our active duty military, and I'm just praying to God that after either Clinton or the next guy gets impeached, they'll stop worrying a little bit less about the military-industrial complex and the very expensive F-35, which cost, I think, $237 million for just one copy. Far more expensive than any target it wanted to destroy. I think the pilot is worth $400,000 if he gets shot down and killed, but the plane's worth $337 billion for $1 million. I'm sorry, let's not get carried away here. But still, that's just utterly ridiculous. The plane's underperforming. We think that China has already figured out a strategy against its stealth capabilities, and it's just that doesn't matter. What matters is its pork. It matters that this defense sector jobs in those Raytheons and Lockheeds and Boeings will pour a lot of campaign cash into the incumbents' pockets in return for military contracts. So of course we can't go out and spend everything on the military all the time like we really need to. Supplies and stuff, so you still have the sailors and airmen and Marines and Coast Guard, I guess they are now in the military, and the Army, of course. You have all those guys, you know, buying their own supplies, pretty much having contributions sent in to get Kevlar. They're just not very well taken care of, and like I said, in most parts of the country, their income is still taxed as federal income tax. In many states, it is as well. It's a shame and I speak to somebody who trained a lot of these guys who are still in and now leaders in the military, and it's kind of sad that I had it better than they did. Now they have to deal with forced indoctrination into political thought to accept gays in the military, whether their religious beliefs are against that or not. They are forced to accept conditions on very tightly packed ships where homosexuals are free to roam the ship like it's the Lucky 6 Motel, and where they even have things now where sexual reassignment is now part of the military vocabulary. And who would have thought? Who would have thought? But you know, I'm being a hater for pointing that out, I guess, but that's just how it goes. But you know, we've reached the end of the rope here with Obama. We've seen in 2008, he promised that it was unpatriotic for George W. Bush to have a $9 trillion deficit. Well, it's almost double that now, if not more. So we can call the kettle black on that one. It's been a disastrous 8 years, and I think there will be a collective sigh of relief when this is over with. Where it goes next? Well, like I said, we'll give it a year till this next crowd is impeached, and we'll have a new vice president turned president within about a year and a half, and all eyes on 2020. And so we're going to go back to George Allen, who the general in charge, who first spoke very forcefully on all the reasons he thinks that our wonderful Democratic nominee, who it doesn't matter that she's a criminal or that she's a serial liar or that she's just basically a horrible person. None of that matters. What matters is she's a woman. So that's why people are going to vote for her. You know, it all goes kind of back to everything that Martin Luther King fought against, where we're going on things like color of skin or Y or X chromosome versus content of character. And Hillary Clinton has no character whatsoever. But, you know, flip the coin, Trump, no better. All right, Dizzy Dan, what did you think about George Allen, first of all? Well, you Republicans, you keep lying again and trying to make things up. What you really bet, maybe he didn't say it right, but he said that America's military force will have all the tools in the inventory to make things work just fine for the safety and protection of America. So we're going to be the strongest people on earth because of our very awesome new President Hillary Aberdeen Clinton. And the reason we say this is because this is very simple. In order to be a powerful nation, we have to have a powerful government. Powerful government means we have measures in enforce to make sure that all the greedy people, the CEOs, the greedy people that want to hog things off to themselves and leave all everybody else to starve, that there's a measure in force to make sure everything's fair. And what I mean by fair is we have to have an arsenal to provide safety and freedom for all the people. This means for all the pregnant women who don't want to have their babies, well, we have to make sure we fund the tools for the doctors to use. We fund the doctors. We make sure that all these people are taken care of so that we provide safety. Because we know that being pregnant is like having a sexually transmitted disease. It can be very dangerous to your health. It's like you got to get rid of the cancer, you know. So you have to have these instruments and these people and the protection against all your right-wing Christian radicals. I mean, it's very, very dangerous to be there. So, I mean, you saw the two walls around the Democratic National Convention. The two big walls were to keep you guys out, not to keep us in. We're jumping the fence. We're making a point. All the Bernie Sanders people are leaving, you know, but the ones that are staying, you know, the 15% who really believe in Hillary Clinton and everything that she says, well, they're going to really be very well protected from you right-wing Republicans who want to jump the fence inside and cause havoc and try to have your voice and disrupt what the normal dignity of a general election platform like this. So, I just want you to know one thing. We are going to take back America again. We are going to make America great again. And that will only happen through the strong central government that's well funded and well prepared to take on all of you people that believe in like the Second Amendment, you know. How crazy is that? The Second Amendment. You would think it's in the Constitution or something like Roe v. Wade is. Well, let me just say this. We are going to make sure that you guys are in control, because we will control you, because that's how it's going now. Because in our schools, we have to have order and discipline. And we see what happens when we don't have order and discipline. You people with the guns come in and shoot the place up. It says no gun-free zone. Can't you read? You're not supposed to do that. So what I'm saying to you is make sure that from now on that you're on board with how we're going to run things, because we must have a strong central government. We must have a strong Internal Revenue Service to keep an eye on all you people that are taking the money and lying on your tax returns. And Donald Trump doesn't even have tax returns. Well, maybe that's because he doesn't pay taxes. I don't know. But that's beside the point. But we're going to make sure that we have a country where everybody is equal. Okay? Got that, buddy? No. Well, everybody equal, I think you mean everybody has equal opportunity, right? I mean, you surely wouldn't want to say that everybody has a destiny to be equal. I mean, that would be like taking a person who works really, really hard, maybe is gifted with some smarts, gets an A, and run that against a guy who really doesn't care and gets a D. Well, how's it fair to make everybody have equal outcome with a C? And what's the incentive for the guy getting the A to, you know, work his butt off for that reward and the dignity that comes from the pride of having such great grades, if to make everything fair, they're going to get a C. I mean, how is that fair? But there you go, lying again, making up things about what I said. What I said was this. I said that the people who have A's, well, they had rich parents that could afford private schools. And it was not fair to the people in the inner city who had to go through, you know, they couldn't even pay for their food. And the reason they didn't do well in school is because they couldn't eat. Because the people, the governments that were supposed to feed them could not do that. And so what we need to do is make a better America for ourselves now. And make sure that everybody is treated equal. And it's the government's responsibility, because it says in the Constitution, you have to have the general welfare clause. General welfare means that generally you have to have welfare, right? Well, Dizzy Dim, I wasn't sure it was really supposed to read that way, but we'll take it. That kind of dovetails into a segue where I was going to ask you about this preacher that came on, and he says that he's a conservative, liberal, evangelical preacher in the traditional message of God. And he went on for some time equating, let me just use some examples here. He equated the general welfare clause that you just cited as a socialist platform in order to redistribute wealth through a centralized government by force. Now, my reading of the Bible is that Jesus never did really tell